Hey everyone, my name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. If you like making money, this channel's for you. We talk about undervalued sectors. We're looking at financial education and how to look at investments. And a lot of them are mainly in commodity-based sectors because that's where the value is right now. If you like this content, give me a thumbs up. Any questions, comments, leave it below in the comment section. Today I'm going to go over the Cheetah Coalition and what we're looking for. We've got this thing called Cheetahs on the channel. Whenever we break a very large chart pattern, the price likes to run. It runs like a cheetah. So what we look for is we look for large chart patterns of companies across many different sectors in the commodity sector because that's where the valuations are good. And we look for a large chart break or potential chart break that could potentially happen very soon. We position before it, and then we let the cheetah run after it breaks that big chart pattern. And the chart patterns are just psychological containments on price that the market puts on it. That's all it is. So let's get in here and look at the presentation of Cheetah Coalition, which is a group of cheetahs. That's what a coalition is. So it's a group of companies that could potentially run after they break their big chart patterns. And again, big chart pattern breaks mean big moves. The bigger the pattern, the bigger the move typically. Reliable, they are very reliable. When charts move and the alignment is great amongst all these patterns in the commodity sectors that I see. We see this huge alignment across a whole bunch of different commodity sectors. And I think I own every single one of these individual stocks, not the ETFs, but the actual individual stocks. And again, this is not financial advice, but financial education. You are responsible for your own trading or investments. I'm just showing you what I look for when I look at companies and what I look for in terms of technical charting. And you can use this information on whatever stock you'd like. So this is GDXJ. We have this kind of sideways line here, this resistance line, and we're just chilling below it. And eventually when this thing breaks to the upside, we could potentially see a very large move. It hasn't broken yet. We're still relaxing and chilling underneath the line. Maybe it has a little more time going sideways, but it's there. We know it's there and we should watch it. This is GDX. Now this one's a little bit different. We broke to the upside of this one and we're pulling on back and doing a back test. And I like buying on back tests a lot of the time. And it's okay if it goes a little bit below this line. We could pop up and move on up. But with GDX breaking out, more than likely GDXJ could potentially break out as well. Here's SILJ. This is a junior silver miners ETF. We've got this downtrend about to be broken. Whenever you have a downtrend line, the flatter the downtrend line is, the bigger the move when it breaks to the upside. A steep downtrend line, if it were to be very steep, isn't as powerful as a flat line like this one is. This has a lot of power behind it. We're still below the breakout. We're still waiting. When this breaks, I think with gold breaks and silver breaks on the physical metals, I think this thing's gonna follow suit and move a very long ways up. Here's Norilsk Nickel. This is the one of the largest nickel companies in the world. It has a lot of nickel reserves. It's also a platinum group metal producer. So it's a diversified mining company. They pay a pretty good dividend. They're located in Russia, so there is some risk there. But I'm just looking at this pattern as it moves on up, and I think this thing's gonna move to the upside quite substantially. So I do have some money in it. I think they pay a pretty good dividend. And I think it's looking pretty good. VALE, this is another diversified mining company. I think they're the actual largest nickel producer of nickel in the world. They have some good reserves. Downtrend line's broken, and then it kind of paused here for a little bit, but I think this thing over a long period of time is going to continue to move to the upside. We could see it pull back a little bit. Another thing I want to touch on here. We're moving up, and you can see the COVID sell-off here. This COVID sell-off didn't do anything in terms of damage to the charts. Structurally, in these commodities, if you look at a lot of these charts, COVID was just a little blip sell-off. I think because of this structural underlying demand supply that exists, that these have to go higher. If we have another sell-off, I think the sell-off will just delay the move. It won't stop the move. So those who are worried about a potential market sell-off, these could get dragged down with the overall market, but I would see it as a very good buying opportunity. Here, you would have made out like a bandit buying around $6, $7 down here. That would have been a really good time to pick it up. So I would look at it as a buying opportunity, not necessarily as being afraid or fearful. But this one's looking pretty good. Mosaic is a fertilizer company. It's based in the United States. Broke this gigantic downtrend pattern to the upside. Sometimes they like to sit here for a little bit. Sometimes they backtest. Sometimes they just run. Tough to say, but this one looks fantastic, and I'm an owner of it. This would have been an absolute bargain to buy at $10. Ooh. Archer Daniels Midland, food processing company. I think they grow some food as well. Uptrend line, broke to the upside, looking fantastic. Southern Copper, another decade-long uptrend pattern, breaking to the upside. They produce copper. I think this company is fantastic. Obviously, this thing could move around a little bit, but more than likely, over time, this thing's going to move to the upside, given the strong backdrop for copper demand, the copper deficits, and the price of copper is just going to continue to move this thing higher. BHP Group, another large diversified mining company that pays a large dividend, broke its very large chart pattern over a decade long to the upside. I see this continuing to move to the upside. Very large producer of a lot of minerals that we want for electric vehicles and renewables. South 32, another one. It's got a large silver stake, megaphone pattern. So they sell silver. They sell zinc, iron. I think this was an iron ore. I'd have to look again. This one's looking fantastic. I think this is going to move to the upside quite substantially at some point. KB Homes. These are some home builders. We know that there's a lot of residential homes that need to be built in an expansion phase of real estate. So let's look at some of the real estate residential home builders. KB Homes is one of them, looking just about to break to the upside of this big pattern. So this is one to watch. MDC Holdings broke its pattern to the upside, looking fantastic. We're just at the beginning of an expansion phase, so this looks great. Now this one looks very interesting. This is a massive pattern, huge price moves up and down. Just broke to the upside. COVID bottom was all the way down at like $6. This went from $6 to $96 in 1 year. Insane. And then we broke to the upside of this large downtrend. This could have much further to go on the upside. Quite substantial. Toll Brothers, another home builder. Again, we broke to the upside, looking fantastic on this over a decade-long chart pattern. Switching gears here to silver. This is a kind of a mid-cap silver, one of the larger silver producers. We bounced our head off the top of this pattern up here. We're chilling right below the bottom of this big old pattern. And I think when silver and gold take off, this thing's going to rocket ship. We got nice big volume from 26 on, accumulating this thing. Looks pretty good to me. Same with Endeavor Silver. Big resistance line here. We're right there hitting our head on it. We're pausing before this thing breaks to the upside. Silver moves, this thing will move substantially. And they are a silver producer. EEM. Last bull market, this thing was absolutely on fire for the commodity bull market. We were trading sideways when we weren't in the commodity bull market. Broke to the upside of this big, huge, long, we'll call it slight uptrend resistance line. Broke up, pulled back. I like it here on these pullbacks. That's where I like to buy it. Sometimes they don't backtest completely. Sometimes they pull up if they're super strong like this, and then they head on up. So I think this is going to be an excellent opportunity to invest in emerging markets. Again, emerging markets have great demographics. We have a weak dollar. That's what usually drives commodity prices higher. That usually is what ensues during an expansion phase of real estate. And emerging markets just absolutely tears it up in terms of returns. So these are the companies that I own in my portfolio. I consider them more stable companies. They're not these. I mean, they are volatile, but they anchor their portfolio. They continue to kind of just track up nice and smooth. They pay large dividends, some of these companies, and I own more money in these and use it as an anchor somewhat to the portfolio. I use my royalty companies as well as kind of anchors to continue to push the thing higher, to get dividends, to keep paying me, to use that money to invest in more companies. So I use these as my anchors, so to speak, for the commodity bull market. I know these will perform quite well during a commodity bull market. So these are kind of more predictable. They're lower risk, more predictable, have dividends, and will move when this commodity bull market comes. So that's what I like about them. They're anchors. I know they're going to perform. I know they're going to pay me dividends. I know they're there to anchor the portfolio and not be these volatile things flinging all around. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. And thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.